Hey everyone, in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can create and produce limitless, amazing sounding jazz phrases over any chord progression just by starting with simple rhythms. I'm going to show you my concept of the matrix of inversions and how to actually expand your rhythmic language and how you can use a small one-sheet template of amazing rhythms to create so many fantastic phrases. And you can apply this to any chord progression. But today I'm going to show you with my concept called the matrix of inversions on a 4-chord loop in a cha-cha-cha 100 BPM super cool Latin jazz beat. And I will show you my process on how you can start building confidence and start sounding good with rhythmic accuracy, and then take that to the next level and actually produce beautiful phrases. And this is not only for jazz, it's for any style. In fact, today we're going to do it on this Latin jazz awesome cha-cha-cha context with a jazz turnaround. Hey there, if you're new to my channel, my name is Lorenzo Ferrero. I'm a Latin Grammy winning and Grammy nominated saxophonist, composer, and arranger, originally from Peru. I studied in the US at Berklee College of Music, and I've been living here and working in the music industry for the past 10 years. And in this channel, I share amazing tips and my step-by-step process on how you can become an amazing improviser and composer, arranger, so that you can step up your playing and become a more melodic musician. All right, so the first thing is to check out the chord progression that we're going to use. We're going to use this typical jazz turnaround. I'm going to display here for the tenor, so in B flat transposition. But the chords are going to be for the tenor: B minor 7 flat 5, E7, A minor 7, D7. This really nice minor turnaround, okay? Concert, it's going to be A minor 7 flat 5, D7, G minor 7, and C7. Okay, and the first thing is going to display here the matrix of inversions. And by the way, if you're not sure what this really means, I have another great video, YouTube video, where you can watch. I left the link in the description, and it's called is how to create great jazz lines. And I show you exactly my concept of the matrix of inversions and how you can put 4 chords and display all the inversions of each chord and have all of this naturally sounding beautiful options. So here it is, the matrix of inversions for this specific chords. And again, like I would normally practice my matrix, I would go each system at a time just to get the sound of each inversion, right? So root position, first inversion, second inversion, third inversion. And I will go ahead and just play the chords and feed my ears with the sound of those chords once I go through every inversion. So system 1. Second system is every chord in first inversion. Then every chord on second inversion. Now every chord on third inversion. So that's where I'm going to get all my notes, right? Once you do that, I mean, you can see that on my on the other video where I really explain everything about the matrix of inversions. But first thing to do is do that, and then of course do the descending option as well. A lot of sax players, we just stick with the ascending option. It's really important that you understand how each inversion sounds on the descending version, because it's literally about shapes here. And I always talk about my hierarchy of a great melody, which is great rhythm, then great shapes, and then the notes are a consequence of the other two. So the notes to me come actually at the end, when we're going to see now when you grab a good rhythm and you think on shapes, how the phrases naturally sound by you just applying these inversions and these notes, right? Anyway, so you get the idea. You make sure that you can play each system at a time so that you feed your ear, not only your fingers, right? The idea here is to mechanize the chords on your fingers, but to really listen to the sound of each specific inversion. What I love about the matrix is it's a great way to not to think about it. You can totally just write it down and read it all the time for a week. And believe me, if you use a matrix for a week or 2 weeks, all of a sudden you're not going to have to read this anymore. Your fingers will mechanize and memorize the shapes and the chord tones. But if you don't have something like this and you have to think about the next note and what is the third of that chord, then you're doomed. It's going to take you so long. So that's why I developed the matrix. So it's a clear path to just mastering all the melodies that are packed inside the chords. Anyway, so you do the descending version. I'm just going to do it quickly, okay? Root position, every chord descending. So I'm going to read each chord right to left. Now, first inversion descending. Second inversion descending. Third descending. You see how each inversion has a very characteristic sound. If you start at ascending, you start, for instance, first inversion, you start with the third when you do ascending, but when you do descending, you start with the root. So it's a really nice way to have instant shapes with the inversion. So you don't even have, as long as you practice and alternate between ascending and descending, you have plenty of work there to do. Now, of course, the next step, and you can see that on the matrix a little more elaborate on my video about the matrix of inversions, it's to mix and match, right? So one exercise I do a lot is just to randomly pick an inversion from one chord and then go to an inversion of the other chord. So it's like first inversion, then I can go to second, then I can go to third, then root position. And also randomly alternate ascending and descending motion. Now you can always start with only ascending and then only descending. Ultimately, the goal here is to really alternate, and the improvised element will just be you randomly picking the inversions and picking the motion and the shapes. This is a great trainer. It trains you to really think on shapes, right? So you're not thinking about the notes because you're reading them. So forget about thinking of notes. Have them in front of you so you just read them comfortably, right? And if you're not very good at reading, then take your time to really go slow and get the. It's going to help you with your reading as well to have the matrix. But then once you do that, the improvised element is really you picking randomly, right, which inversion to do, and then the shape. Am I doing ascending or descending? Maybe ascending, descending, descending, ascending, 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 descending, ascending, right? You can alternate. So that ends up sounding like this. Just gonna randomly go from one inversion to the next. I'm gonna pick randomly, and I'm also going to randomly pick the motion if it's ascending or descending. It's a beautiful, you can actually stay doing that for like 10-15 minutes of just doing that so much that you end up doing all the options, right? You don't have to think about how many options are there. You just keep doing it and feeding your ear. Like if I do this for 10 minutes, it's beautiful because what's happening here is you're playing the harmony horizontally, right? As opposed to just, if you play it on piano, if you play it on blocks and vertically, you hear the harmony vertically. By listening to the harmony as shapes, you naturally get melodies that are hidden inside the inversions, which is what I love about this. A lot of saxophone players would stay cursed with I call it the curse of the root position. We just do root position, right? And I see sax players tell me, oh yeah, I practice chords and I just practice root position. Literally the most boring one, right? In fact, what you could do is you can use a matrix and avoid the first system if you want to just get all the actual sound of the inversions. A root position has its place. It's nice as well. It's just, I'm telling you this because there's so much melody packed in inversions, and it's so underestimated by single line instruments, especially sax players who are obsessed with scales and using scales to improvise as their main resource. Scales are great, don't get me wrong. It's just I don't want to rely on them as my main source of melodic material, because a lot of what happens is a lot of students end up sounding too scaly, like mumbling with scales. I want you to understand the power of the melody that is packed inside the chords. Anyway, then you can see you can have another matrix of inversions. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but you can basically, what you can do is copy and paste the same matrix. Like I like UC values, and I basically copy and paste it and I modify it. So you can actually have 3-4 pages of matrices of the same chords, and what you would do is you can change order, you can change direction, you can do all of that stuff that I show you how to do on my course, and I also show you on the other video about how to create great jazz lines. So that's all about splitting the octave and change. And in fact, you don't even have to write these versions down. You can look at it and just be completely changing the order or change octave displacing within the same chord, which would make more a sound like this, right? breaking up the octave and changing the order of a few of the chord tones. But that's a lot easier when you do the plain matrix without any changes and get the note in your fingers. Then it's a lot easier to do that. Anyway, then you can, for example, here I have a matrix of inversions now with tension replacement. I basically have a whole concept where you replace the root for the ninth, and if it's a dominant, you can also use the flat. Like, it really depends on the harmonic context. Like right now, you could say, yeah, we're sort of in A minor, right? But like, for example, we have that D7. That D7 won't tolerate altered tensions as well as, for example, the E7, because it's like a 2-5 going to minor. And you could also say this might be in G major, but in this case, in this loop, we never go to G major. So it's actually going to sound like you're in A minor a little more. That D7 is just this little sort of a brighter, colorful dominant. So I'm going to keep the natural tensions there. So I might use a ninth. You don't have to do a version of the matrix with all the tensions. Like you see here, sometimes I use the flat 9, sometimes I use the flat 13 as well, replacing the 5th for the flat 13th or for the 13th. Really depends. Now, I'm going to leave that for another video about specific harmonic requirements for these tensions. But what I'm saying here is you can just do a bunch of matrices of the same chords and just do different variations and do the octave displacements as an exercise. And of course, in my case, the only thing I need is just the plain matrix, and I can mentally just do all those changes, right? Which is another thing you can do visually, just try to manipulate the directions and stuff like that. If you want to check out the tensions as well, you can write that version too. Anyway, let's go to the big important part of the training, which is rhythm. All right, so as a big part of my whole method and my system, as some of you already know, it's really about rhythm, okay? And I'm obsessed with harmony. I'm obsessed with, chromatic approach and all of these amazing elements. But it wasn't until I realized the power of rhythmic vocabulary and how without it, nothing sounds musical, that I shifted my emphasis to rhythm, okay? Because with rhythm, if you enhance your rhythmic language, you can make a C major scale sound freaking amazing, right? And that's actually something I show in my course. Grabbing a simple element and enhancing it with rhythm so much that you produce hundreds of phrases with even the same 7 notes. Remember, when you do rhythms and then shapes, the notes come at the end. You can actually produce countless of phrases. And here's a mistake. A lot of people focus too much on what note, I gotta think what note to play. Or they just mumble with memorized patterns or things that their fingers are used to play. So rhythms are a great way to escape from that. Okay, rhythms and shape. So let's do something simple. I'm gonna put the matrix here on one side, and I'm gonna put my rhythms here on the other side, so you can see both, okay? So what's going on with rhythms here? I basically picked and wrote down very simple rhythms. I always talk about your rhythmic vocabulary and how you should have a rhythm notebook, which is a place where you register rhythms and you write them down. This is sort of what I would call my almost like a 3-page template, which is 1 page of rhythms, 1 page of the matrices that I'm going to use, which is the what to play. This is the how. Rhythms is how. The matrix is the chords. So I get all chords and tensions and whatever else you're going to use. You can have a sketch of that. And then on my 3rd and 4th and whatever pages, I would write phrases using those two. And I'm going to show you that as well. An example of phrases that I actually wrote down using this concept, using also chromatic approaches and tensions and stuff like that, using these rhythms actually. But right now I want to show you how you can use these rhythms in a more intuitive way, faster, just grabbing the notes from the matrix, right? And reading them with these rhythms, right? Because before I showed you just you reading the matrix as plain 8th notes or quarter notes. Now, what you're going to do is to actually implement these rhythms. And you don't have to use all the notes of the inversions. You can use 1 or 2 notes, almost like guide tones, right? So for example, let's check out this first rhythm. You could say it's a 4-bar rhythm. It's really a 2-bar rhythm, copied and pasted, right? So I'm just going to play that same little 2-bar motif. It's like this. Make sure to sing it many times. 3, 4, ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba, right? Ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba. Now, once you sing that rhythm many times, if you want to look at the notes, you can grab your other page, right? Well, you see the matrix here as well. And you can simply pick just a few notes, like the same way you were kind of going around the matrix, picking inversions and descending and ascending motion. You would do that, but now with that rhythm. So let's just start very simple. How about just repeat the note? Check this out. Just going from the 7 to the 3rd, the 7 to the 3rd on both chords. Now, I can include more notes, grab that rhythm, and I will just read a little bit of the inversions, right? Maybe I can pick, how about I just stick with first inversion? So I I just, whenever you have more than 4 notes on the rhythm, you can simply add or repeat, right? Ba 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 ba. And then I landed on the 3rd on the E7, and then I did the same for the A minor 7. But it's all there written out. So once you have a matrix and effective rhythms, you see how it's so easy to create phrases. Like right now, I'm not writing this ones down, because today I want to show you both processes, right? This one is more like on the spot, grab the matrix and start applying rhythms. And then the other one is you actually taking the time to write effective phrases down. Now that's even more evolved, because when you actually sit down and write, you have time to make them more sophisticated, add chromatic approach and add more variations. And this is more of like a quick way to get this, right? Cool, let's grab another one. Let's do a rhythmic phrase number 4. 3, 4, ba 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 ba. More notes, right? Now I'm gonna grab to get started, because we're in a very slow tempo cha-cha-cha, you can actually just do one note per chord. Ba 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 ba. I mean, maybe 2 for that. So here's something that I always tell my students: let the rhythm guide you. A lot of times the rhythm tells you what to do. If you sing a rhythm, ba 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 ba, like that inspires certain shapes, right? Ba 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 boo boo ba 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 boo ba ba. Like it could be the opposite, it could be different shape. But what I always tell my students to do is sing the rhythm plain by itself, and then start singing it with shapes. What does the rhythm tell you? It could be ba 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 boo ba boo ba ba. Right? I'm thinking on shapes, even though my notes might not be super accurate on the singing. That doesn't matter. I'm always thinking on shapes, because shapes is what's gonna bring out the phrase. Now, first rhythm, because rhythm's gonna give you is the how, but then the shape is really almost the what, because the notes end up being like the last thing, right? But the shapes is really what's gonna make your idea expressive, and then the notes at the end. Okay, so we're gonna grab that rhythm. I'm gonna go to the matrix. Ba 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 bo bo bam. How about I just stay with like one note on that first measure? Ba da da ba ba bo ba. And then I use notes from the matrix for that each second measure. So. You see the idea. And in fact, once you become really good at this, you can start using a little bit of scales, like a pentatonic or blues scale, because it's in a minor context. But that's for another video. Like I want to really emphasize the importance of the chord tones here. Makes sense? So that's a great rhythm. Ba da ba bo ba ba. Now let's add more notes. So I'm going to actually use the inversions now. Ba da bo ba bo ba ba. Ba ba boo ba boo ba ba. I'm thinking on shapes. Okay, that's cool. I'm not gonna think about the notes. I'm just gonna randomly grab the inversions and go up and down, right? See, so you can start, and then what's going to happen is the rhythm is actually going to give you ideas. Oh, boop, ba, ba, to split the octave, right? Or to do certain things, change the order. Ba da ba 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 boop ba. Ba boop ba boop boop ba ba. Even to repeat certain things, so you don't have to use all the notes all the time. Make sense? How about? The rhythm to me it's so generous, it's so underestimated, because it actually gives me ideas. It almost, I see it this way. I have the matrix, which is what I'm going to play, like the notes, and then a lot of students would just look at this and start mumbling with the notes of what to play. And then the how is the rhythm. So if I sing the rhythm and just almost like sprinkle the rhythm on top of the matrix, on top of the chords, it's like boom, phrases, spontaneous phrases come out. Phrases that I probably didn't even play before. It does not sound like a mechanized or memorized pattern. Some of them might, because we're sticking with simple rhythms right now. But what I'm saying here is it gets you to play differently all the time. And it gets you to play musical. Ba 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 boop ba ba. Accurate. So another thing I really talk about is accuracy. When you do this, sing it many times accurately, play it accurately. Don't just do this. See the difference? Be really accurate. At the beginning, I was like, oh, the rhythm is very unsure. No, be like, ba 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 ba. That doesn't mean necessarily play it louder. It's just play it really precise. You can play it soft and very accurate. You get the idea, right? So now let's grab one of the rhythms right here below that actually combine, which is a great thing. So once I have like a few rhythms like I repeated, you see most of my rhythms is just a 2-bar rhythm repeated. But now check out, for instance, rhythm number 6. Rhythm number 6, I pretty much just combine phrase 2 with phrase 3. So if you see, I have phrase 2, which is ba 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 ba, and then instead of repeating that, I grabbed the beginning of phrase 3, which is ba 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 ba, right? And that gives us a very interesting combination, because now you have an actual 4-measure phrase. So you can start with 2-measure phrases, which just repeats, almost like sequencing, right? You put the 2-measure phrase here on the first 2 chords, the same rhythmic phrase on the next 2 chords. Now, as you have that, you can have the next set of rhythms where you pretty much grab from those. They don't need to be new rhythms. You just copy rhythms from what you've already used and now use those rhythms to create longer rhythmic phrases. In this case, a 4-measure phrase. And look how that sounds. I'm going to sing for you rhythm number 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the track. I did a play along for this cha-cha-cha, 100 BPM, beautiful, tasty, medium, slow kind of vibe. And what I'll do is I'm going to grab from these rhythms randomly, and I'm going to use the matrix. So just so you can hear me live, I want to leave both here, okay? So you can see the rhythms and you can see me playing live, just improvising for a few loops, using these rhythms and the matrix, so you see how it sounds. Let's do it. That was fun, right? Hope you enjoyed that. And that's exactly how I recommend you practice this. And you can what you can do is, at least the process I like, is to pick a rhythm, 4-measure rhythm like that, and then sing it like obsessively. I mean this because a lot of people and a lot of students, they miss this step and they just don't sing it accurately, and then when they play it, it instantly gets messed up. So it's like, sing it. If it's gonna be like, for instance, a rhythmic phrase, whatever, like 7, right? Ba 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 ba. Really sing it many times, because you think singing it once is enough. You actually have to sing it 10, 15, 20 times in a row until you're gonna see there's a point when you sing rhythm so much where your brain completely steps out and the rhythm is internalized. That is when you can go to your next page and look at the matrix. Okay, so now your rhythm is internalized. So you're just gonna let the rhythm guide you, and you're gonna put the notes from the matrix. Ba ba boo ba boo ba 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 boo boo ba ba. In fact, sometimes I would sing the rhythm and press the fingerings without playing if I want that help. Ba ba boo ba 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 boo ba ba. I love that exercise as well, and then we'll play it. The precision of your phrases will get transformed. All right, and then you can use, of course, as you heard me use a little bit of the matrix of inversions with tensions as well to add more color. Now, to end the video, I'm actually going to show you some phrases that I wrote, okay, using exactly some of these rhythms, well, actually all of these rhythms in different ways, and the matrix of inversions. Now, for this section, I used the matrix with tensions as well, so you're going to see some tensions, and you're going to see what's going to happen here is I'm gonna start super basic on phrase number 1, and I'm just gonna play them. Like you're gonna hear me play the first one, the second one, the third one. And what's gonna happen is the more down I go, you're gonna see them getting more sophisticated. So as you can see, I'm gonna start including even chromatic approach towards the end. Okay, and if you want to learn more about chromatic approach, I have some videos about it, and I left the link of my ebook, my chromatic approach exercises, in the description in case you're interested. You want that. So what's gonna happen is you're gonna see all the notes in blue are chord extensions that I've replaced. Right, I've used them to replace chord tones, and then all the notes in red are chromatic approach. Usually targeting. They're more of a horizontal device, so they will be targeting other notes. And then all the black notes are just chord tones. So let's check it out. I'm going to have the PDF right here. Okay, so keep in mind, all these phrases that I'm going to show you, I wrote them only using these rhythms. I'm going to keep the rhythms there so you can see them, and the notes from the matrix with a few additions like the chord extensions here and there, and later on even chromatic approach. So let's go. I hope you enjoy that. Isn't that great? All the amount of music that you can extract from chords. And this is not only, again, this is not only amazing if you're an improviser, it's if you want to arrange better, write better melodies, if you want to produce better melodies. This is just such an amazing method. And this video is a little tiny extract from what I teach in my Jazz Improvisation Mastery System, which has now become an amazing community of over 70 members, and it's growing every day. I wanted to showcase some of the things that I teach there. This video exists in way more depth inside that inside the course, and of course it's literally my step-by-step framework on all the things that you need to practice, starting from the simplest, deconstructing one chord, extracting melodic content, expanding your rhythmic vocabulary, creating your own phrases, how to transcribe rhythms and integrate them to your playing, how to write your own solos. I have PDF transcriptions, and we're just including live group calls with all the members, where twice a month I do a live call with a specific topic in mind where you can actually ask questions live. It's truly amazing. I'm super proud of building something like this. I constantly update the course, and I've seen students getting so amazing results that I want to personally invite you, if you like my content, if you've been liking my YouTube videos, especially if you like this one, I left a special link below with a special offer for you to join my Jazz Improvisation Mastery System, which is now called the Jazz Mastery Circle as well, because it's a whole community. The Jazz Improvisation Mastery System is the course inside the community. So this is, if you are tired of spending years not seeing progress or just binge watching so many videos and try to apply everything but you don't have a direction, then this is really the course for you. I build it with you in mind so that you can drastically expand your melodic vocabulary, become a better improviser, even a composer and arranger, get live support, direct access to me because you can actually chat with me. And I have something very special as well. If you do decide to enroll in this video, because of the link I'm including, you're actually gonna get a free strategy session with me for 60 minutes. You actually, on top of everything, you will get a free lesson with me where I can actually guide you and set, it's almost like a mini coaching. Okay, so this is truly something I don't offer all the time. I decided to offer it in this video because this is part of my course. So I hope you enjoy this. Please make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can get notified. I post an educational video every single Tuesday here at my channel, and other amazing production videos, saxophone arranging, and a lot more. So I really hope to get to meet you and to see you inside my mastery circle. Okay, see you in the next video.